How's it going, everyone, and welcome to the Raiders Daily Podcast. My name is Stephen Michaels. We got a big show today, a lot of Raider news. As you know, the Raiders have entered a brand new era. They bring in a new general manager and Dave Ziegler, a guy who was the GM for the New England Patriots. They also grab another guy from the New England Patriots and make him their new head coach, and Josh McDaniels. Now, I'll tell you guys straight up my opinion. I don't know what to think about this. I don't like Josh McDaniels' face. I don't like the way what he did to Indianapolis. If you remember, he left them at the altar. They thought they had a head coach, and he backed out on them and went back to New England. He was terrible in Denver, although I think he won a playoff game with Tim Tebow, so that counts for something. He says he has matured. We shall see, because I have heard stories after stories of him throughout his career that he and some players have not gotten along. Hopefully, that is not the case anymore. Hopefully, he can connect with this Raiders team, because this will not be a rebuild. Mark Davis was really clear in that when he interviewed all of these GMs and all of these head coaches, he does not want to rebuild this team. So, what does that mean? That means he needs a coach to come in and connect with the current players. Now, the current players, as you know, they all wanted Richie Bisaccia back. But, in my opinion, that would have been a terrible move. He's a special teams coach for a reason. Yes, he's a nice guy. Yes, he's a great special teams coach. He's a great guy. He's a player's coach. The players love him. But can he really develop a game plan to send this team to a Super Bowl? Does he have that in him? I don't think so. And the proof is the Raiders versus the Bengals in that last series. The lack of communication. Derek Carr spiking the ball for no reason when he got everyone set up, and it was absolutely just a waste of a play. It was a disaster. Derek Carr didn't even throw it into the end zone for a touchdown, which pissed off Mark Davis, by the way, in case you're wondering. That did not make Mark Davis happy, with Derek Carr not throwing in the end zone there. It also did not make him happy, by the way, that Derek Carr's brother went on Colin Cowherd's show and basically, was saying a bunch of things about, the organization has to treat Derek Carr better or something, along those lines. Mark Davis is not a fan of that. Now, speaking of Derek Carr, a lot of people ask me, will Derek Carr be the quarterback? In my opinion, now anything can happen with this general manager. Remember that. Anything can happen. Now, Derek Carr has a lot of sound bites. He doesn't want to play for any other team. Meanwhile, his brothers basically almost said the opposite. He wants to play for a team that respects. He wants a payday. And I don't know if this general manager is going to give Derek Carr that extension that he wants. I just don't know. They might make him play his final year contract, and if he does well, they can franchise tag him, or then they can extend him. Or if they really like each other and everything goes well in OTAs and camp, then maybe McDaniels will feel comfortable enough and say, yeah, let's give this guy a 3 to 4 year extension. And if things collapse, maybe they have an out on that contract and the Raiders can then go ahead and trade Derek Carr. Now, one thing I will say, you do not want to get rid of a quarterback if you do not have a quarterback. So the Raiders can't simply move on from Derek Carr right now because they have no one. Marcus Mariota is a free agent. I'm sure he's going to be looking somewhere else to play and maybe compete for a starting job. He's probably sick of being a backup now for 2 years, but you never know. If I'm the Raiders, I would pay him, but how much do you pay a backup quarterback? I just think the dual threat of having Derek Carr and Marcus Mariota in there is, a really good thing. I think John Gruden was, when he initially thought of that concept, that was not a bad idea. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully these players, though, all of them, buy in to what Josh McDaniels is selling. That is going to be the most important thing. Because right now it seems like they're all butthurt about Richie Bisaccia not getting the job. But they got to move past that. This is a business. And if Josh McDaniels, hopefully he's the right guy. I am not willing to come on this radio show right now and tell you the Raiders are going to win a Super Bowl with Josh McDaniels. Hell no. That guy has to prove it to me and prove it to you that he is capable of being a head coach and leading this team to the playoffs. He has to. Because right now, I'm not buying it. He has to earn my respect. I don't care what he did in New England. I really don't. I've seen too many coordinators for the Patriots go get other head coaching jobs and suck. Bill O'Brien to everyone, right? Romeo Crennel to Charlie Weiss to everyone. I mean, all these coordinators leave and they suck. Josh McDaniels went to Denver and sucked. So this guy has to prove it to me. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. So I will sit back and wait and see if this guy can do it. So we'll, and like I said, these players got to buy in. Now I know Derek Carr is going to buy in because I just know he wants an extension. And from what I know, he's already spoken to McDaniels. It's not going to be a very hard offense to grasp for Derek Carr. But do the Raiders think Derek Carr's the future? Remember, this is going to be his 9th year in the NFL. And he has yet to win a playoff game. But I say, keep him for this season. See what happens. Because who knows? Maybe he's not comfortable. Sometimes in the NFL, you're seeing it right now with Matthew Stafford, right? Sometimes it's best that a player just gets a fresh start somewhere else. The player and the team both need a fresh start, and sometimes it works out for either the player or the team. This may be the case here. But I would keep him for this season and see what he can do in Josh McDaniels' offense. And hopefully, it's better than it has been. I do know Mark Davis was looking for more of an offense that's more modernized, more of a modern offense. He'll get that with Josh McDaniels. But Josh McDaniels does do a lot of old school things too. He likes fullbacks, for example. So Alec Ingold, who is a free agent, I expect the Raiders will re-sign him. And then on the defensive side of the ball, we don't know what's going to happen. Who are they going to hire as a defensive coordinator? There's a lot of names been floating around. You have Brian Flores. His name was floating around, but he's in a legal battle with the NFL right now, so I don't know if he's willing to take a defensive coordinator job at this time. What about Martindale, the Ravens defensive coordinator? They let him go. He's a free agent. Close ties with the Raiders. Used to be with the Raiders and with Josh McDaniels. Keep your eyes out for that one. That could be your new defensive coordinator. Unless they go to a different direction. What about Gerard Mayo? Does he take that next step and become the defensive coordinator for the Las Vegas Raiders? We don't know yet. And I don't think we're going to know every coordinator's, this whole staff, the fill it in. I don't think we're going to know that anytime soon. This is going to take a little bit of time. But we do know who the head coach is. We do know who's going to be calling plays. And that's Josh McDaniels. And maybe Gus Bradley comes back. If I'm Mark Davis, by the way, that's what I do. I bring Gus Bradley back. My only problem with Gus Bradley is the defense. It's not, in my opinion, you need a defense that blitzes more than Gus Bradley's. The Raiders get shredded way too much in the middle of the field. They can't stop any team that's in their red zone at all on defense. Once that team crosses the 20-yard line, it's almost like, well, they're going to get a touchdown. But the same goes for the Raiders' offense. They kick more field goals than they do touchdowns. If I mean, they have the terrible red zone offense. Terrible red zone offense. That's got to be cleaned up. Hopefully Josh McDaniels can do just that, because if the Raiders were scoring touchdowns instead of field goals last season, the Raiders might be on TV next Sunday in a Super Bowl. But instead, Daniel Carlson's kicking field goals all game long. Not every game has to come down to the wire. Not every game has to go into overtime. Not every game has to give Raider Nation a stroke. Yes, the Raiders will win 99% of those games. And Derek Carr, for all his faults, is very clutch when it comes to, with the game being on the line. Except for the Bengals game. But usually, he's pretty clutch in that aspect. So, but the problem is, his play in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter. With Derek Carr, it's very simple. If you're going to keep Derek Carr, you need to surround him. It's just the way it is, guys, okay? I don't care if you're a Derek Carr fan or not. This is the truth. You need to surround Derek Carr with a bunch of elite weapons. He needs a fast wide receiver. He needs a bunch of good wide receivers. He needs a good veteran wide receiver. He needs a good run game. He needs a good offensive line. That's what you need to have Derek Carr be successful. That's just what you need. Now, or do the Raiders do something like what the Bengals did? Andy Dalton was there forever. They were good a couple seasons, not, almost there, not quite there. Finally, they go out and they get Burrow, and next thing you know, they're in a Super Bowl. Do the Raiders go out and look for that young quarterback and slowly ease him in and go with it? Or do they just draft a quarterback like the Patriots did last season and Mac Jones and just ride with the rookie quarterback? I don't think that will happen. Just because, and I'll tell you why, of what Mark Davis is looking for. Mark Davis is not looking to rebuild this team. It's just something he's not looking to do. So by drafting a rookie quarterback and sending a rookie quarterback out there, it doesn't seem logical. It really does not. So we'll see what the Raiders do with that whole situation. Because we know Derek Carr wants to get paid. We know he wants an extension. Does he deserve it? I don't know. I mean, yeah, last season was chaos. I think everyone can agree on that, right? It was chaos. But we shall see. The Raiders have so many decisions to make on their roster. They got to figure out what guys to pay. You got Max Crosby. You got Josh Jacobs. You got Hunter Renfrow. You got Jonathan Abram. All these guys, they got to make decisions on. So hopefully this general manager can, they're going to go through the roster. That's what they're doing now. And they're going to look at each player and see, if they're worth keeping around. Some fans, in my opinion, believe some players are a lot better than they are. Listen, the Raiders went 10-7 this season. If there wasn't an extra game, they would have went, 9-7? So you got to remember that. And to me, that's not good enough. That is not good enough. The defense, in my opinion, like I said, there's a lot of holes there that need to be fixed. The offensive line, Alex Leatherwood, was a complete disaster. That's probably why Mike Mayock's gone. That's why John Gruden's gone. That's not why John Gruden's gone, but Mike Mayock would have been gone regardless. Alex Leatherwood sucks. What do you do with Alex Leatherwood, by the way? It's a good question. What do you do with this guy? Do you keep him there? Do you keep him at guard? Or do you try to make him put him at the left side again? Or right side. I don't know what you do. I don't know what you do with Alex Leatherwood. Because that guy, if he does not get better, he is going to go down as a big draft bust. Another one for the Las Vegas Raiders. So the Raiders need to figure something out there. That whole offensive line is terrible. Josh Jacobs, what do you do with him? This guy, He came on late in the season, but he hasn't really been the same. They definitely need another running back there. You have Kenyon Drake, who's coming off a bad injury. He's due a lot of money. And, John Gruden did pay him a ton of money. The Raiders can get out of that contract. I think it's March 16th, I believe. He's due like $5 million. So they could cut him before that and go some other direction. Kenyon Drake, in my opinion, is a good running back. I just don't know if you want to pay that much money when you can simply draft a running back. These running backs, it's not like they last forever. And I think drafting one would be a smart move on the Raiders' part. If they drafted a running back, let's say in the 3rd round. I'm not advocating drafting one in the 7th round. Early in a draft, get a good running back, a fast one. And then, you got Jalen Richard. Decision there. What are you going to do with him? Do you want to bring him back? I don't know. I don't think the Raiders do. You got Nicholas Morrow. He's a free agent. But he was injured all last season. So what do you do with him? There's a lot of decisions to be made. Casey Hayward Jr. Will he want to bounce? He's going to be a free agent. Will he want to bounce if Gus Bradley's not back? Denzel Perryman. I think the Raiders should keep him and go get another linebacker, because I'll tell you one thing, I don't see them keeping Nick Kwiatkowski. I do not see them keeping him around at all. There's a lot of players, like I said, on that team that are not that great. Plus you need to build a team. You got to remember this. You need to build a team that can compete in the AFC West. Remember, you got some dogs in the AFC West. You have Justin Herbert in the Chargers. They are going to be a good team for years to come. You have Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs that are pretty much unstoppable. The Bengals managed to do it. But outside of that, that team has been whooping the Raiders' ass and Derek Carr's ass since Derek Carr's got there. I think he's won one time in Kansas City. And that was during the pandemic with no crowd. Kansas City has just owned the Raiders for the last 8 seasons. The Raiders need to compete in that division. You got to look around your division and you got to say, we need to be on top of this division. What can we do as a team to compete against Kansas City every year? To compete against the Chargers? To compete against the Broncos? Who knows what's going to happen with them? Maybe Aaron Rodgers becomes their quarterback. It's a good chance, right? Now, Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion, is highly overrated. That's just my opinion. The reason why I say that is, hell, if Aaron Rodgers, if his team is down in the 4th quarter, chances are you're doomed. He's one of the worst 4th quarter comeback quarterbacks in the NFL. And I'm not joking. You can look it up. Google it. Google it. He's awful at comebacks. Awful. So if you get a lead on Aaron Rodgers and you went to the 4th quarter, chances are you are going to win that game. That's just the way it is with that guy. He's still a good quarterback, but he's not like a Derek Carr who can lead a team back from, 17 points and win the football game. He can't do that. It's a weird thing, but Derek Carr, sometimes is really sloppy in the 1st quarter, 2nd quarter, 3rd quarter, but then he comes alive in the 4th quarter. So it's a tricky thing. It really is. So we'll see what the Raiders do. Nobody really knows what they're going to do. The Raiders don't even know what they are going to do. Let's be real here. So, you can see people guess all you want. The media has no idea. The people who cover the Raiders, the reporters, the ones who don't work for the Raiders, I think there's only, there's so many reporters now that, I guess they're called reporters, but they're on the Raiders payroll. It's really weird. There's like 3 guys who are not on the Raiders payroll that are reporters. I think 3 or 4, and that's it. And those are the only guys I trust. I don't trust the guys who are on their, their shitty little AM radio station. I don't trust any of those guys because they're on the Raiders payroll. They're not going to tell you anything. They're going to tell you what the Raiders want you to hear. Why do you think NFL Network, all those guys, those insiders have been just destroying the Raiders reporters with news? They destroyed them. There was one Raiders reporter who literally said that Josh McDaniels is out of the running for the Raiders head coaching job just 2 weeks ago. That the Raiders are not interested in Josh McDaniels at all. That is just hogwash. It's not true. And guess what? It is true, and it's been true. The one thing that has not been true is all those reports that the Raiders were interested in Harbaugh. Turns out the Raiders were not ever interested in him. Probably because this is just my guess, thought maybe he would want too much power, or the fact that Mark Davis really wanted to sign that guy before Jack Del Rio, and I think it was before Jack Del Rio, and whenever he took the Michigan job, whenever that was, I forgot when that was, and instead, he took the Michigan job over the Raiders job. He had two choices, and he pretty much did not go with Mark Davis. And Mark Davis, he's known to hold a grudge. And I think he still holds that grudge to this day. That's why the Raiders were never interested in him at all during this hiring cycle. They had a lot of guys come in. As you know, they had Tom Delaney in there. They had the president. They had, what's his name? Dan Harrock in there. A former GM. The guy, I think, is 70 or 80 years old now. He's pretty old. But, he was in there interviewing all these GMs. And the Raiders, Mark Davis, they feel like they got the right combo. With Ziegler and McDaniels. I always say his name wrong. But they feel like they have the right combo here. We have to wait and see. Because if this team has taught us anything, guys, they taught us we gotta wait and see. Because I don't trust anything until I see the results on the field. And like I said, Rich Bisaccia did a tremendous job weathering through the chaos that was this season. I mean, kudos to him. No wonder why the players love him. I love him for being able to overcome all that and still coach. And still get the team into the playoffs. That is remarkable. But for the future, I mean, that's not going to work for the future. You need a guy who is a head coach. That is qualified as a head coach. How many guys who are interim head coaches that get signed to be the head coach end up working out well? The answer is like 0. Maybe 1. It never works out that way. That an interim head coach gets the gig full time and ends up being a big success. It just never ends. I mean, players may love him, like I said, and like he did a great job. He did. But this is a business, and the Raiders have to win. They are in Las Vegas now. They need a win. Mark Davis knows that. Knows this. This is all business. You got to put your feelings aside. You got to bring in the right people who you think can bring your team to a championship. Is it Josh McDaniels? We'll find out. This free agency and this draft will tell us a lot. And then when we see them on the field, it'll tell us even more. But this team, in my opinion, already has a lot of pieces in place. That all they have to do is add upon those pieces, and this team should be a playoff team, no doubt in my mind. They just made the playoffs. If they don't make the playoffs this season, then guess what? Mark Davis failed. Josh McDaniels is not ready to be a head coach because they are not tearing this whole thing down. They are building upon the pieces they have. And the pieces they have, some of them are not that great. I mean, come on. They have a lot of bad draft picks in there. Amik Robertsons to, come on. They got a lot of bad players. So this team, all they need to do is add. If they add quality, good players, this is a playoff team. Without a shadow of a doubt. Let's see if this new GM and new head coach can do it. All right, guys, that is it. I'll talk to you guys next week. I believe next week we will have a defensive coordinator named. And then as far as other positions, like I said, that'll probably take a couple of weeks. And then we got the draft coming in April. So that will be fun as well. But we'll be doing shows probably once a week. The link is in the description. If you want to donate to this podcast, you can. I will appreciate it. My name is Stephen Michaels. This is the Raiders Daily Podcast.